One of our most acclaimed stage and screen actresses, Anna Manahan, Cloch Le Carn.
What have I ever done but kissed 2 men the past 40 years?
2 men is plenty!
Finish it!
I'm finished! The only difference between Debonair and Judas is that Debonair is tall.
And now didn't he send the boy with a message, and didn't I entirely misremember to tell you of?
You pack on with me, and you told her all me business.
Good evening and welcome. The headlines tonight. The death is announced of award-winning actress Anna Manahan at the age of 84.
Nuair Anna Manahan in Rábhil san ní, fá go follas olmhúr is éile haar clíneachta. Ní bháin bort láirge an áit in a rugaví ach mór himpeal na crinne. Chuir a cuid aisteoirt glundar I gríthe muinte na hÉireann, agus ar bhar sin bhain si bar éime amach ar Broadway. Chomáile seo thug Anna ard mamna do siúda daibrig lé, nó cha am ina colúdar.
Bhíodh sí gcónaí tharbheith cardú nuair a casadh tú léithí ach is siúil timpeall ba Anna Manahan a bhí an, you know, ard aisteoir.
Anna Manahan, the beauty queen.
Bhain Anna Manahan gradam Tony amach ar Broadway, écht úntach d'aisteoir éarnach.
And when my name came out, my friends say I didn't run up the steps, I flew.
Lán tiltaí an óir, ach háir an fortune ar in siad, nó bhí sé sin lán tiltaí ná agus bhí drún de críarm nuair a cúla mé faoi.
All right, can you stand by to do it once again now?
Of course, Anna was a very, very gifted actress. Outside of Siobhan McKenna, she was the greatest actress I ever saw in any country.
Is Queenlum couple of blino hinnig dulchan Anna Eshkent is sisters agus an cuachta bhíachi an atmosphere a bhí timpeall agus íar an státe bhí sé do chreidtha dá nearach sí éanú do chreidtha bhí an lucht féchan ar fad faoin dríocht a chuirse an chuirsí faoi bhealacht muid agus bhí sé go hilas gom an arás.
Rugad Anna Manahan I bort láirge in 1924. Bhí cúlran cheoil agus na stáitiíochta sa chlán. Ach bí Anna an taobhaine clú agus cáilimach ar an stáite.
When you were starting out as a young woman,
yes.
You couldn't really have made it in theatre by staying in Waterford at that time.
I would have loved to have remained here and lived here, but I couldn't. Life was very different. We had to go to Dublin and we had to work our way up through a very structured system.
We were both in a school of acting together, and it was the Abbey School of Acting, actually. And we just sort of liked the same things and had the same ambitions at that time. And we never stopped being friends for the rest of our lives.
Well, I met Anna when I joined my first company on tour in the days of the fit-ups. She had joined the company only a few weeks before me. Fit-ups are all gone now. They were called fit-ups because the actors did a lot. They did the acting, they set up the stage, they collected the furniture around the town, which was an interesting occupation.
Sin na fit-ups na airclan na taistil a bhí go bháil tríd an tír idir néideag a trocha agus néideag a seasca. Cuadar go dtí na balti beaga crossbóthar agus cuadar suas pobl orintha cuadar Jack é hala beag a bhí ann agus cuadar seo anbhrá ar fad siúil das na daoine ón counter.
Nuair a háir sí go blásaí dasach báire, leis an 37 tír a trom, Barricastan agus Norlíomh, bhain sí cáil amach déitmar ban bhuiil, ar an bhuiide.
We were a bit lonely. She was away from our home and I was kind of... and it was like... we became like sisters, really. We became very close.
Beidir greibh uignas ar Anna, ach bhí a cuid tuspáinte sí stáite ag tarraingt aig na líne ar féin.
I gcónaí le áine chreidhúí, I gcónaí. Agus déach si bheith an granúr, déach si bheith an bhín, agus by God déach si bheith láidir agus fufa agus déach si racht ferige an wathe bheith aici stáit agus níháin stáite.
Déadfá rá gur líon si an stáite. Siú sa géirí nó san Olympia nó san 37th club, stáit an a bheog a bhí ag Barry Casson.
Ins na chégadí daibrig Anna in airclenne agsúla ina measc an gata an áitir chaisí ar an stúr stáite Colm O'Kelly, fear a fósach sí, a chur treigó deire le sonas na lánúin.
Colm was, we all thought, we being Anna's friends, we thought the perfect man for her. He was an organiser, he was a stage director for Edwards MacLeomore Company and other companies, and he took Anna in hand, more or less, in the kindest of ways, and he could organise Anna. And they went on a tour with Edwards MacLeomore to Egypt. And in the afternoon, Colm caught polio, collapsed, and he was dead that night, sudden as that.
Ceapamh gur tholadh Colm an galar polio le lingdó a bheith snámh in ann níle.
He was dancing with me on Friday night and he was dead on Tuesday.
I think it had a great effect on her life. I think it was a grief she carried nearly all her... I don't think it was something that she got over, really. It was an awful thing to happen so early in her life.
The shock had been, as one can imagine, quite enormous. Incidentally, she played in the play on the night of Colm's death. And a lot of people not connected with the theatre raised their eyebrows at this.
It must be difficult to work in the theatre when you suffer bereavement like that.
It is, and there are no understudies, so I played on like most of us do. And I think they're with me in spirit. But Hilton Edwards of the Gate Theatre used to call it Doctor Theatre, that you have to go out and forget yourself. And I think the doing of that has helped me through the bereavement.
Ní lisa go mar raibh mór an eile eice ina saoil. Bhí si fós a caint faoi an rud a háladí faoi archéile Colm áil bás, agus bhí si fós dílis don romance sin.
He was the only man in her life, seriously, and I'm sure it's had a very deep effect. I mean, she didn't go on talking about it all the time, any more than anyone who has lost someone very close does go on talking about it. But it's there, it's within.
It possibly added an even deeper shade to the tragedies that she performed, but and she was an amazing emotional actress, Anna, but it was a huge bereavement so early.
Sure, Patrice Namera, na Jetoro. No, Binian Sale of Vicky, sure.
Haring Anna call idirnáisiúnta irithe féin nuair a ghlach sí páirt in Roma de chuid Tennessee Williams, The Rose Tattoo. Ach haring an drama conspóir de bhar go raibh Cuiscín a bhí mídí leathacha gnám in anam a bheith seileamh duine de na heistóirí stáitse. Bhí sé in Iraq agus gáchan léireathir Alan Simpson agus roinnta na heistóirí, Anna in a mask.
Players of Anna's calibre who have that extra something can bring two apart. Magnetism, call it what you like. And Anna had it.
And you've always made a huge impact, even right back in the very beginning.
Yes.
With the rose tattoo.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
Nearly went to jail for that one. That was my first big major role.
It was a good way to start, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
Anna was so famous when the Roasted 2 came out. It was, there was a huge scandals about the play, huge notoriety, but her performance, it was world class. I mean, suddenly, from abroad even, people began to say, who is this actress we hear about who's made such an astonishing debut in Ireland that everyone's talking about her.
This is Dr. and Mrs. Howard, Miss Trimble.
You couldn't go raibh sí mar defa siúltímpla digwín mar a bhí lán aistrí is an amsin I bhailgad líamh. Na lán na heisiúirí lán saor a gcónaí ó am go chéile bheadís a déanana páitina agus go minic I siúltímpla gan tada a siúlacha. Ach ní a bheanach bhí sé gcónaí on demand.
Oh, Janie! Nearly broke my neck. Who left a bucket of dirty water there? It's not funny, Maureen.
I know. I'm sorry, Ma. It's just, I never expected it to kick the bucket that bad.
Yeah, we did 3 series of Mrs. O'Brien. And that was my first time working with Anna. And we got on well, and as things progressed, and I got to know her better, and we got more relaxed with each other, our relationship developed. But she was a joy to work with. I mean, I hugely enjoyed it.
When the matchmaker came along, we gelled, and we were also friendly off stage. And even though we may not have spent all that much time together because we weren't always sort of we didn't stay in the same hotels or things like that, but we enjoyed each other's company when we arrived in the theatre, and it worked very well.
I wanted him to go to the doctor to see after his apparatus. But he told me he'd let no living man look at it till they were washing him for the clay.
Is cyfnod mi fresh mar Big Maggie. Cé nach raibh sí mór. I mean, ní duine mór bheithí ach Big Maggie, Ein duine a chonaí Big Maggie ní dhéanann tú dearmad ar go Joe.
In theatre, as opposed to films and television, there's a tremendous amount of bonding, and you belong to a worldwide family, and they're with you in joys and sorrows that, with all the ups and downs, there's an awful lot to be said for it.
Yeah. She had quite often put up with very difficult conditions and very hard times too. Times were hard for actors when, during the time that she was working in the theatre. And quite often she would tour. She did a couple of one-woman shows, and she would tour and sometimes play to very small audiences in very small venues. And she was stoic about it all, and she didn't complain too much.
You should go yourself, so.
Anna, was quite senior in years when she came into Fair City. Sadly, she was only there for 3 years. But they were great. I mean, I loved having her there. And we had a great relationship.
I'm just a foolish old woman.
You're my mother. And now I've upset you.
I never thought I'd hear it.
I'm really sorry. I'm going to bring you home now.
I don't want you to think badly of Tom.
I got to know a very gentle side of her as well, I called the real Anna, the soft, lovely person.
Dathraigh saol Anna a ríis, tar éis de Gary Hines tariscin de chuairte a bheith páirteach in Roma Martin McDonagh, the beauty queen of Manahan, a bhí á léirú ag Orclan an Drí. Bhain an drama cáil damdamach. Ní bhain sin, ach tar éis ra an drama Broadway, bhain sé cheithre gradam Tonyamach, an onóir is mó is saol na Harclaníochta. Gradam de Anna don bhanaisteoir is fearr ina measc.
Bin drama fuirfa, drama ófásacha bhealach, agus drama a hana go mór le luchtla éisteachta fud an dain mar bhuaí Anna gradam Tony Award marial an aisteoireachta rinse Broadway sa drama sin.
Made a huge difference to her life because prior to that she had been, of course, admired and respected as a very fine actress. But when she won that, I mean, she was in a different stratosphere altogether. And whereas a lot of us knew her as a star, the whole theatrical world now knew her as a star, so it was fantastic.
Chwn me caintí faoin sort síl bhéci héistí an gradam sin a bhóchaint, agus bhíoch na busna gáil háart an uárach, agus bhí Greengraft a Anna na busna, agus cheap sí sin go raibh sin háar a bheith granúil, a chuáin sé ansás a bheast.
Ní hálíonn sé ó vinnig go minion eistóirí clúdar náisiúnta amach. Ach, bhí ní smó cáilir Anna Broadway agus America ná mar a bhí ina tír dúchais.
But you'll always be, but me, I'm beautiful. Are you beautiful? Look at me, I'm beautiful, Roisin. Hello, darling. How are you?
She was a diva, perhaps. She was a star of the old school. And she had served her time, she had laboured in the vineyards, and I think that she felt that she deserved respect for that, and quite rightly so.
It's attitude that makes stardom. If a curtain goes up on a play and the door is opened by a maid in a uniform and she bobs and says, "Come in, sir," or "Come in, my lady," to whoever they are, and that part is played by Anna, you know the maid isn't going to disappear. You know damn well that the play is going to be about her sooner or later.
Well, there's a bit of a diva in Anna, you know. I mean, she liked to command an audience off and on the stage in a way. And I say that in the best sense of the word.
To be a person that the key, rather a tuctor, focalar nosach, rapport, she shin kangle, either in Lochdashik, agus and Tashore. Oh, the conic may shin gemirig, Vishig actually mar Siobhan de Cana, aber agus more than he gonal in the Nabi, the machine, a Vishe Galoida. A market mark. Anna.
I try to love her. Usually, I want to get rid of the first night audience and just let me at the punters, you know, they're my bread and butter. I love them.
She was a very, very shrewd actress. She could read a part and reproduce it perfectly. But I think she could be impatient, shall we use that word, with those who weren't up to the professional standards that she expected.
Bishi Jacker ve dailali uranta a winnishin le gok ja astor.
If there were, say, younger people in the company who didn't have the same reverence, I think might be the word, for theatre as she did, then she would get very upset. I have known that people from directors to producers to younger actors to stage managers who have got a little bit of the sharp end of her tongue.
Vi darka théniki a goni na página a rinne sí. Ach, vi sí tása éisteglad tínte, ach ní websí róhása vil le péra a vile rágat hui. Ach, te derhi a tres rein jog kainte, vi sí goni tiltrach dal levalak a rénos.
She had this aura about her that she, you know, when she went on stage. And even if it wasn't a huge part, it was impossible really, I think, to take your eyes off her, and she commanded attention and got it.
No standing on ceremony now. Sit down there and get a cup of tea.
We make our own stars. Now, they have to have the ability to get there, but we keep it going.
She had just that little bit of X factor, if you like. There was great commitment to everything she did, and there was just that extra little bit. You know, if everybody else was going 100%, Anna would be going 120. That was the way she was. She pushed herself and wanted to be the best.
I want to go home. I want to go home.
You are home, man. You are home. Look, it's me.
Brendan, you have to help me. You have to help me.
Bhí tágta gcónaí ag buint lena bailidóchais is éil Anna, agus an 2002 brunmh saoirse na carracha éirí I Bort Láirge.
I'm not from Waterford. I know that when I was down there recently, the awareness of Anna and their pride in what she had achieved was enormous.
Tell us about the wonderful news you got this morning.
Well, the Mayor of Waterford informed me that he and the council, would be the aldermen, the city council, have, by unanimous consent, awarded me the freedom of the city of Waterford. And I'm so overcome. I don't know, it makes me cry. The awards in my life for theatre are special, but this is extremely wonderful.
Agus an cheir scór blianaché, bhaintí cáil amach stáite eile ag tríidir san carta daoine éasta.
Dúirt sí lenar frí bhaimeach, dúirt sí go mbeadh sí géirí bheith ina pátrúm scór gníomhach agus go bhféadfadh sí cebhraling agus féin am sin bhí daoine leabhart faoi gearra chur ar an binsin nó táille chur leis an carta leiis nó fiú an carta leiis a bhaint agus mar sól do gachtainna sin a hála ar fá tamalaín ar aonos go dtí gur tháinig gana ar an arc.
They have done the most dastardly thing that's ever been done by a government. Don't let them in again. I plead with you, don't.
Bhí sé héana gáil níos agus bhí séice cad a bhí rimpaí, ach dan si ag obair go dtí an nóid deire. Mór drámaí beaga, ar radio, ar telefís agus dar nó rih thosa sí ag obair ar Fair City.
Oh, you'll find there's connections there.
Become lei státe Airclan na Manastruach nó ar Fair City nó the Reardons nó le scór gníomhach státe politiúil, státe morálach become lei agus chuirsí isteach an seo dearnach a chuirsí ar siúil doing é mar abhcóide de cheandaoine agus buútóní eile é.
I've always had a strong feeling for the older people of whom I am now one, but what angers me, I have a deep anger about the way they're treated. Indeed, if I were younger, I might go into politics.
We seniors have a lot to be grateful to Anna for, because she saved our medical cards.
Where are the candles?
Síl na haisteoirí sin an síl a heasta waithí, agus ní dóilem go mbeadh sí sásta riamh éire as.
When she was upset or annoyed and she suddenly lost it and blew up into an absolute over-the-top fury, and which would involve a lot of shouting and a lot of tearing around the place. And I found that extremely funny. But I didn't say so at the time. It wasn't safe.
She was one of the people for whom the world began at 8 o'clock when the curtain went up and the world closed down when the curtain came down at 10:30.
In later years, she was very fortunate to have a travelling companion and friend, Anthony Bulger, who was fantastic, travelled with her and really looked after her. And she needed somebody at that time to look at because she wasn't very well.
First the buses.
Oh.
Now the times.
Oh, look! It's a good-looking picture of me at last. Look at me down here.
The hag is underneath.
Yes, I mean, I've been like this I'm on the bus.
I gceann Demlína nar a lútar Anna Manahan. Tom cínte go gcuoinach daoine ar an aistóir a bhuaigh Tony, ar an aistóir a bhí sna Reardons a bhí i Fair City, bhí i Sisters, Beauty Queen of Manahan, is sa rilla ach tásúlam go gcuoinach siad chomá ar an bhain sin a bhí chomláidir sin ar son ag cóis.
I don't think that people really realised that we had really one of the world greats in our midst, She had a reputation for being our great actress. I don't think that we realise exactly the value of her gift and her work. She was unbelievable.
There was this very feisty warrior woman who wouldn't take anything from anyone, She won't be walked on. And yet she could crumble at the smallest little thing sometimes and really become genuinely hurt and upset about something that most people really would let go and wouldn't be bothered about at all.
Duine na haisteoirí a bhar a bhí ann, a bhí inse a gur bhuaigh sí an gradam sin I nuamhrach, gur bhí sé a chrothaí an a scríomh John B. Keane an fort Big Maggie J. Gur raibh Gro an vas agus an gro ag lucht fechan na harclana.
Would you ever have considered any other way of life?
I remember my young husband who died after 10 months in Egypt. And I remember asking him the way one does when you're young, would you love me if I were not an actress? And he said no. And I was in shock. And he said, because you'd be somebody else.
Diva, Sárastór, Ginivier san Hjartan Dine, Bangash Gich, Astor Character, Furishor, Violon Parson Exule eg Anna Manahan. Ach tá daoine eile a bhfuil cuimhní acu irí mar glúchara dílis.
I miss her all the time. I sometimes don't recognize the fact that she is no longer here.